Adel, thank you for taking your time for our interview. And my first question, how realistic is IATA's forecast that passenger traffic in Kazakhstan will reach 50 to 55 million passengers by 2030s?
Good evening. Thank you for having me as well. This is quite a good question. Yes, indeed, the passenger traffic is growing annually. If speaking the numbers, last 11 months of this year, we have our carriers carried around 14.3 million passengers. Comparing to the same time of the last year, the growth consists of 5.8%. So, generally, this is the worldwide trend that increasing the passenger traffic. But even in order to satisfy this growing passenger traffic, Ministry taking appropriate measures. For instance, our airlines increasing the flight capacity, the fleet. This year, SCAT, Air Astana, and Flyrstan air carriers received their brand new aircrafts. Also, Kazakh Air, new brand Vietjet Kazakhstan, plan to receive 20 aircrafts by following 5 years. Also, we're working on development of our airport infrastructure. As you know, last year, 3 big airports launched their new passenger terminals. Almaty first, second is Chimkent Airport, and the Kızıldağ Airport. So this has contributed to increase the passenger traffic as well.
Is current airport infrastructure sufficient to handle this volume?
Yes, of course. As I mentioned, Almaty launched a new terminal last year, so this is provided more opportunity to increase passenger flight capacity, as well as, you know, the Astana airport has have 2 international and domestic terminals, and as you know, every year passenger grows. So at this moment, airports are quite ready to handle the increasing capacity.
How has the open skies regime affected competition between Kazakh and foreign companies?
Of course, the main goal to launch the open skies regime was to increase the competition between our carriers and the foreign airlines. One of the main goals was this one. So open skies regime provided possibility to the launch new flights. This is provide possibility to our passengers to have more choice. Also, foreign carriers, some of them enter to the already working air market, which increased the competition between airlines. But this is, leads to the lowering the prices, bettering the service provided. So in the end, of course, our passengers win from this situation.
How does the committee balance between liberalization and protecting national companies?
This is the quite good question, of course, but one of the main goals at this moment, strategic goals, is to increase our international market. Of course, it's important to have the strong carriers as well, but also aviation, Kazakh aviation is not only about our carriers, but also the foreign carriers as well, because when new carrier enters the market, it means that Kazakhstan integrates to the new network of that air carrier, and our passengers receive possibility to fly third countries via the hub airport of that air carrier. That's why it's important to balance both the issues for us.
Have airfares actually become more affordable for passengers since the introduction of the open skies regime?
First of all, it's important to mention that in Kazakhstan, as in international experience, as it recommends ICAO and IATA, the ticket prices are not regulated by the government. So this is the international experience policy. But even though the government, the ministry tries to somehow affect on the ticket prices, so one of the ways is, of course, to launch the open skies regime. Also the many other regimes measures, but of course liberalization of the market, it leads to the better to provide better prices for the passengers.
Which international destinations and markets are priorities for further expansion of Kazakhstan's route network?
Well, at this moment, Kazakhstan have air connection with 30 countries, operating at this moment over 600 flights via 130, over than 130 air routes. Of course, this is not the limit, and speaking that if we operate 7-hour flights around the country, 7-hour in radius of the 7-hour flights, so we can cover around 4 billion passengers. It means almost the half of the world. So that's why this is the market: China, India, Russia, obviously, the Europe, Middle East, etc. So this is the main markets what are not far from us. So 7-hour flight, it means via the Airbus 220 or Boeing 737. So this is provides us good potential, not only the point-to-point carriage between 2 points, but also to carry passengers via Kazakhstan to connect two different areas, for instance, Europe and Asia. That's why quite long work to go, but at this moment our carriers together with other stakeholders are working to satisfy the growing demand.
Is the focus more on Europe, Asia, maybe South Africa?
Well, South Africa is quite far, but who knows, maybe in the future. So as I told, we are located quite favorable location between quite big different regions and markets. So if we're looking to the west, we have Europe and more flights to go. And as we see this year, we have opened flights. SCAT airline opened flights from the Shymkent to the Bucharest, to the Budapest, Munich, Praga, the Belgrade, already 4 cities in Europe. Also, we see that quite interesting direction to the Southeast Asia. Every year we see quite growing numbers. Also, the China and the Middle East quite popular for our citizens as well.
Are new routes mainly driven by tourism demand or transit strategy?
Yeah, this is also quite good question, but one of the, not the only, but one of the important functions of ministry is to provide legal base to operate scheduled flights, to give the possibility to look around to our carriers and to see what direction is more important. And after that, when our carriers see the possibility to operate flights all around the world, they start to think about to analyze the market, and depending on the demand market issues, they of course want to start flights. It's all depends on, of course, passenger demand.
How significant is Kazakhstan transit potential between East and West?
Yeah, this is quite one of the important strategic goals of the ministry. As our president told recently, it's important to utilize our favorable geographical position here, because location between the Asia and the Europe, two big markets. So at this moment, of course, as Kazakhstan market is quite limited. That's why, in order to further develop of our industry, of economy, etc., it's important to focus on the transit passengers as well. As I told you before, the location is quite favorable, and of course, one of our functions is to provide a good environment to our carriers and to the foreign air carriers to operate flights via Kazakhstan and to connect the big regions as Europe and Asia via Kazakhstan.
And which hubs are best positioned to serve as transit points? Astana, Almaty, regional cities?
Well, yeah, of course it depends. It depends where start the operation and where is the final destination. Generally speaking, at this moment we are working to develop 6 air hubs here in Kazakhstan. Of course, one of them is the Almaty, Astana, Shymkent, Karaganda, Aktau, and Aktobe. So we are focusing on these 6 cities. Of course, all of them have their own advantages. Also, it depends on what flights are they serving to and what regions they would like to connect. So also they have all of them have their own specific favorable benefits.
And the last one, fish or chicken?
It depends. It depends.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.